Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Sure. Laura Seawald, Lauraseewald.
And how are you employed?
I'm employed as an emergency medicine physician at Hurley Medical Center.
So you're an ER doctor?
Yes.
Okay. And are you a licensed physician?
Yes.
How long have you been a licensed physician?
2 years.
And how long have you been working in an ER?
2 years as an attending, 6 years since my initial training.
Okay. Does that include residency?
Yes.
Okay. How many cases do you think you've seen in your career?
Oh, a few thousand.
Okay. I want to take you to October 1st, 2021. Were you working on that day?
Yes.
What was your position then?
Attending physician.
Okay. Do you recall a patient named Konrad Imirowicz?
I do.
Did you come to treat him that day?
I did.
What did you remember about him? If you can keep your voice up for us.
Sure. I remember the patient was a transfer from an outside hospital coming to us for a burn that he sustained a few hours before, earlier in the day. And my initial assessment was that the patient had severe burns all over his body, mostly to the legs and arm and torso, I believe. And then our initial assessment, he did appear to be had critical injuries from his burns, but didn't need any advanced procedures from me, like an airway or anything like that. So he was able to talk.
Okay. What is critical condition mean?
Critical condition can mean a few different things in a trauma case. From my perspective, someone who's critical has burns to his severity, but he didn't need, like I said, an emergent intervention from my perspective, which means like an airway, putting him on life support or something like that. So he was able to talk at the time, but he did need to go urgently to the operating room to have his burns ultimately debrided.
Okay, what does that mean?
Debrided means, so when you have burns that are really severe, you actually have to take off the skin that has been injured to help with the healing process. And for him, typically with burns like that, a lot of times they'll try to do grafting for them eventually. But you have to kind of get that first layer of dead skin off, actually, to help with the healing process. And also what can happen is, if you don't take that skin off, you can actually develop damage to the muscles in your, like for him in his leg, for instance, right? So it's really severe. If you don't take that skin off, the muscles themselves can start to die because there's nowhere for blood flow to kind of get to the area. So you have to remove that skin so that you can allow better flow and healing process, basically.
Okay. Now, part of your job, I assume, is to keep medical records.
Correct.
Okay. So what is your process of keeping medical records?
When you say keeping medical records, you mean just recording what I saw that day?
What are your obligations to record medical records at your hospital?
Yeah, so I interview the patient. If they can speak to me, then I, try to get an idea of what brought them in. Then I do my physical exam, and I record what I see on my physical exam. And then I do my medical decision making, which is to say what my overall impression is of what happened to the patient, and what I think the next steps are involved in their care.
Okay. And do you have to keep that in every case?
Every case, yes.
And that's the obligation of all medical staff?
Correct.
Okay. And you assume keep these in some kind of computerized form, I assume?
They are kept as, yes, they're in the hospital electronic medical record.
All right. Have you reviewed the medical records in this case?
I did.
Okay. They're quite voluminous, aren't they?
I will say I didn't review every single one. I believe the patient was there for about 5 months, but I reviewed the initial records and then his discharge summary.
Okay. Judge, may I approach the witness?
Should have the cover on.
Well, I had the page in here. Judge, I'm showing the witness the first page of People's Proposed Exhibit 15. Can you take a look at that for me? Do you recognize that?
This is just kind of an overall summary of what, to me, this appears to be an overall summary of what brought the patient in.
But that's a page from those medical records, is that right?
Yes, correct.
That's a page from Konrad Imirowicz's medical records?
It appears to me, yes.
Okay, thank you. And you said you reviewed the rest of the records, which were quite voluminous, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And Judge, I also have a certification from a certified custodian of Hurley Medical Center that the attached records, these are printouts of the electronic file, were made at or near the time of occurrence, the matter set forth by, and from the information transmitted by a person with knowledge of those matters. The records were kept in the course of the regularly conducted business activity, and it was the regular practice of the business activity to make the record dated June 1st, 2022 by Winkus Hall. And so I would move to admit People's Proposed Exhibit 15.
Your Honor, I've read those all, and I have no objection.
Thank you, so admitted.
Thank you. I'm obviously not going to display all. These are double-sided. So,
Okay.
I just want to highlight a couple pages first off. If I can have the screen on, please. Screen here? Okay. I'm showing page 1, this page I just showed you, and I actually highlighted a section there on the right side. Can you see that?
Yes.
What section is that?
That's just the admission information.
Okay. Do you see an arrow there pointing at something?
Yeah, that's my name.
That's your name? Okay. So these are those records. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. I'm moving now to page 22, which indicates, what does HPI mean?
That's the history of presenting illness, basically. So that's basically you saying, it's kind of your first part of the note that just says what brought the patient in today.
Okay. Can you read that for us?
Sure. So it says a blank old blank with a history of alcohol use disorder who presents for further evaluation from an outside hospital transfer for chemical burn. Per patient who is asleep this morning, I believe this is a typo, with a belief that his daughter reports some unknown chemical onto him, and he's sustained, I believe that should be sustained, a burn to multiple areas of his body. States that he slept through all of this until the significant other found him and brought him into the hospital. At the also hospital, it should be outside hospital, thus made it approximately 35% burn to the body. He was given a liter of fluid. Tetanus was updated and was given antibiotics as well. He also underwent decontamination at the outside hospital. At this time, the patient states that most of his pain is focused around his groin, but he otherwise denies any chest pain, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, vision changes, or blood thinners.
And just to be clear, I think that says difficulty swallowing. Is that right?
Difficulty swallowing. Sorry. Yes.
That's okay. Thank you. Moving on to the next page, which is page 45 of the records. Can you see that section there? Can you read that for us?
Yes, so this is another HPI. So Konrad, and can you pronounce his last name? Imirowicz is a blank seen in the emergency department as a result of a burn injury. The burns were caused by acid or chemical burn. The chemical causing the burn is unknown. The burn occurred when he believes someone threw it on him while he was sleeping and is unsure when it occurred or how long he laid in it. There was not an explosion involved. Decontamination actions were not taken at home, but were performed at the outside hospital. There's no associated inhalation injury. Extent of the burns are as followed: TBSA 41%, superficial 0, partial thickness 0, full thickness burn 0.
So what is the...
Hold on, full thickness burn... full thickness burn 41%. Apologies.
And I was going to ask, what does that mean?
So TBSA is basically, it's a way to think about total body surface area. So how much of your body sustained a burn, that's how we estimate that. So about 41% of his body was estimated to have a burn to it. And then superficial, partial thickness, and full thickness burns characterize their burns. Superficial would be like a sunburn. Partial thickness would be, you might see some blistering or something like that. There's some degrees to that. And then full thickness means that it's a very deep burn. And that would be, on the scale, that's the worst kind of burn.
Moving to another page here. This is... Sorry. I accidentally covered up the page number there. I'll have to get the page number in a minute. And as a matter of fact, I can move off this page, frankly, until I get the page number. At this point, Judge, I am going to show the photos.
Okay.
I think she has to see them. They'd be admitted first.
They're part of the medical records.
Oh,
sir.
that's true.
Okay,
They're
so
all-
you're going to show the photos that are part of the medical records.
Correct.
Jury, I just want to prepare you with regard to the photographs that you will be seeing. They are shocking. So go ahead, proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Can you tell us what we're looking at here?
Yeah, this is a picture of the patient with some of his burns being noted. So this is on the left side, you see his back with some burns to the upper torso and to the lower back as well. And then on the right, that looks to be his left shoulder. That black over it just means that it's a really deep kind of burn is the easiest way to think about it.
Okay. What do these kind of burns have a degree?
Yeah, so this would be, so there's two ways to think about it. There's deep, which is what we had just talked about. So that would be full thickness burn. And then when you think about, there's also a degree measurement system from 1 to 4. 3 and 4 are both deep kind of burns. These appear to be 3 to 4, which is, again, kind of the worst type of burn you can have.
Thank you. Can you tell us what we're looking at here?
Yeah, so this is looks to be his right lower extremity, and this would be characterized as a 4th degree burn because you can start to see some erosion into the actual muscle tissue.
Is that dangerous?
Yes.
Are there concerns with infections from these kind of burns?
Yes.
Okay. What are we looking at here?
That's the top of the patient's head with similar type of burn pattern.
Those are kind of the same degree and type of burns as the others?
Yes.
Can you talk to us about these?
This is the patient's right and left lower extremities. These are the anterior aspects of similar type of burn.
All right. What are we looking at here?
I believe that's the patient's left leg, and so on the left side here, that's his upper thigh. And then on the back, this is where a lot of his really severe injuries were, which is the whole back of his leg is essentially burned.
Okay. Were those the same type of burns?
Yes.
Did you observe these yourself?
Yes.
Can you tell us about these two photos?
So this is his, these are burns to his left upper extremity, so some burns to the hand and fingers, and then to his left elbow as well, or I should say left upper arm.
Are any of these burns anything less than the type 3 or 4 that you were talking about?
Not really. I mean, some of the speckling patterns you could technically say might be 2nd degree, but everywhere you see the black, those are all 3rd to 4th degree burns.
Okay, and just to be clear, you can see my laser pointing here, right?
Yeah.
The speckling we're referring to, is that some of these
Yeah, that
other
could
pieces?
maybe be like a 2nd degree or 3rd degree burn.
Okay. Can you tell us what these are?
Well, this is actually post-debridement. So again, debriding meaning that you took the damaged skin tissue off. And then this appears to me to be the first stages of grafting.
Okay, and what is grafting?
Grafting is taking skin from, it can be from an animal, a cadaver, other various things, and to actually replace the old skin that was there to help with replace the skin that was there before.
Okay, so this is after some treatment is done and that black skin has been removed.
Correct.
Okay. What about these?
Similar process again. So this to me appears that the dead skin had been removed and that grafting had been placed.
And here?
This is his right lower, I believe this is right, or no, sorry, this is his left lower extremity after extensive debridement, and it appears to be that there had been some graft places.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the last two.
It appeared, so this is the left lower extremity that had extensive debridement to it, and then it appears to me that I see some areas of grafting too.
And what makes you say that?
Basically, where you start to see that like cross-hatching patterns. I don't know.
So like
yeah,
here?
so there, exactly. That looks to me to be consistent with grafted skin.
Okay. What about these other sections here that are kind of still black, or I would even say yellow or pale?
Yeah, so typically, and again, I'm not a burn expert, but that is the that's kind of old fat, essentially, that they weren't either weren't able to debride or they thought was okay to leave after their initial surgery.
Okay. What about this here?
And that is the right lower extremity, again, after the debridement process and a graft had been placed.
And this here?
Same thing. This is the left side of the chest after the debridement process, and looks to be a graft.
Okay. The injuries here that like my cursor's on here in kind of the center between in the center of his chest and around the solar plexus, is that kind of like those specklings, what they would look like after the debridement?
Yeah, they might. Those probably weren't debrided actually.
Okay.
That's probably from the initial injuries.
All right.
Because yeah.
Thank you. That's the end of the photos, Judge. With injuries, burns like that, is there a risk of infection?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of infections can result?
Really any kind of infection, but bacterial are the main ones that you think about.
I don't have anything else, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
If you need to put anything up, let me know. So we'll see. Doctor, where did you go to medical school?
I went to medical school at Rosalind Franklin University in Chicago.
And you did an internship?
I did my internship and residency at the University of Michigan.
All right. And did you do any other fellowships or?
Yeah, I did a research fellowship as well.
Okay. And you've been in practice for how long before this? How long were you licensed before this?
So you're asking as an attending physician?
Yes.
Let's see, so that was in October, and I started in July of that year, so 3 months.
Okay. You ever seen a burn case like this before?
Not to this extent, no.
Ever
Well, I've seen similar burns. Depends on the question you're asking.
Okay.
I've seen extensive burns before.
Sure. Chemical burns?
I've seen chemical burns before, but not to that extent.
All right. So you reviewed some of that medical file, correct?
Correct.
Don't blame you. The police report indicates that somebody told him that his or somebody told the officer that his blood alcohol level was a 0.3 when he was admitted.
I believe it was 0.255.
0.255?
You'd have to check the record for sure, but there was, on my review, there was alcohol in the system.
He was also listed as chronic alcoholic.
Yes, that's the information we were given as well, and I believe that's what I think he also stated that he was a daily drinker as well.
All right. Do you know what time that test was?
It would have been, the labs would have all been drawn at the time that he came into our hospital. So whenever he arrived and blood work was done, it would have been within the hour that he arrived.
All right. And
It was 8:56.
pardon? Okay. All right. And if I said that the arrival time was 8:56 p.m., would you disagree with that?
I would not.
All right. So about 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Did you talk with Mr. Imirowicz?
I did.
Was he able to talk fairly well?
Yeah, it was.
Did he explain to you what happened?
Not in detail. I didn't, it's not, I think we just asked him what he thought had happened, and he said that he thought his daughter had poured something on him. But that was basically all that we
And you
discussed.
remember that specifically?
I do actually remember it specifically, yeah.
Okay. Was the trooper present at the time?
Not that I recall. Or sorry, he could or could not have been. I'm not sure.
You're not, well,
Yeah.
don't recall, that's
Okay, that's
pretty much
that's
the same
right
thing.
word. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. What history were you given? Do you remember?
Basically, the history that was shown in the first part of the note, which was that it was an outside hospital transfer of a gentleman who sustained chemical burns to his body. That was the history that I was given.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Judge, I don't have any redirect. I was just going to put on the record that the one page I showed that I did not have the page number of was page 300. And I can show it again if you'd like.
No. It's okay.
I don't have anything else, sir.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, any questions? No questions? Okay, ma'am, you are thanking the accused as a witness. You may step down.
Your Honor, can we approach?
Yes. Mr. DeSantis, sir?
People are going to call Trooper Hunter Smith.
Thank you. Sir, can you just raise your right hand to be sworn, please?
Under penalty of perjury, you solemnly swear that the testimony that you give before this court is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you, sir. You may be seated.
Are you okay in the truth, Chair there? Do you please state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, sir. Hunter, Hunter, last name Smith, common spelling, S-M-I-T-H.
And how are you employed, sir?
I'm employed by the Michigan State Police.
And how long have you been with Michigan State Police?
About 3 years.
Okay. What's your position?
A trooper.
And what were your duties on October 1st, 2021?
My duties are to cover the northern Oakland County area.
And how do you do that?
I do that by taking calls for service in Holly, Rose Township, and Groveland Township, and just respond to calls, run traffic, stuff along those lines.
I want to take you to that date of October 1st, 2021. Were you dispatched to 1650 Duck Creek Lane in Ortonville?
Not initially. I was dispatched to the Ascension Genesis in Grand Blanc.
Okay, so you were sent only to the hospital location at first.
Correct.
And what was the dispatch for, to your knowledge?
Our dispatch call was a victim was burned, originating from 1650 Duck Creek Lane, which is in our coverage area.
Okay. Did you work alone that evening?
No, I had two partners, three including myself.
Okay. How many vehicles?
Through 3 vehicles, I believe, or 2 vehicles. I'm not sure.
Okay. What did you find when you got to the hospital?
When I got to the hospital, I was greeted with Julie Imirowicz. I believe it was the son of Konrad. I'm blanking on his name. I'm sorry. And then 2 other witnesses, Lucas and Kayla.
Okay. Now you said Julia Imirowicz. Do you mean Julie Conrad?
Or correct. Sorry.
Okay. And you don't recall exactly who you met with when you got there?
No, not initially. No.
Okay. Would looking at your report refresh your recollection?
Sure.
May I approach the witness?
Yes, sir.
Just take a look at that, read through it to yourself, and then put it face down and look up at me when you're done. Did that refresh your recollection?
It did, sir.
Who did you meet with when you got there?
So, like I said, I met with those 4 witnesses, and then I met with EMS and hospital staff.
Okay. And so what was your process when you got there?
My process when I got there was to interview everyone that was either a witness or there, and then to get further information on how the victim was doing and speak with EMS and hospital staff to gauge what was happening.
All right. Now, before we get to who said what and who you talked to, did you eventually go to the Imirowicz home?
I did.
When did you do that?
I did that after I spoke with Konrad Imirowicz later in the night.
Okay. And what did you do when you got there?
When I got there, I went inside the residence. I observed what was to be a messy house, and I took pictures of what I thought at the time was evidence.
And Judge, can I use the screen?
Yes.
Exhibit 4. Do you recognize that?
I do, sir.
Is this a photo that you took?
It is.
Okay. Can you tell us about the scene here?
Yeah, so when you walk in the house, it's a bi-level house. So we took the right to go up the right staircase. Where that picture was taken, it was to the left. So once you get up on the landing of the staircase on the upper level, you take a left. and the couch was right there. When we walked in, that's exactly what we saw, and that's what we photographed.
Okay. Tell us about the condition of the couch.
The condition of the couch, it's obviously in not the best shape, but it appeared to be moist, wet. You could see visible areas of the leather or whatever material that is. Then you saw, the blanket right there with the bottle at the time, with the white stuff sprinkled all over the couch.
Did you know what the white stuff was when you saw it?
At the time, I didn't move anything, so I did not at first.
Okay. As part of your investigation, did you eventually obtain the bottle that's shown there?
I did.
Okay, and you took it in evidence?
I did.
And what's the process for preserving evidence?
The process of preserving evidence is you collect a piece of evidence, and then you take it to our post, and then it's just the chain of custody, just so no one touches it, stuff like that. You collect it, you preserve it, and then you bring it to the post, and then the property sergeant handles it therefore after.
Okay. When did you actually go and get the bottle?
I went, so I photographed this on the day of the incident. It was probably about 2 to 3 weeks later when I went to get the bottle.
Okay. And when you went to get the bottle, when you came back to the scene, had anything changed?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Was there anything you observed that indicated that there was any difference in the bottle or its condition?
Not to my knowledge.
Judge, I'm showing counsel. Judge, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
I'm showing what I've previously marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 9. Do you recognize that, sir?
I do.
What is it?
It is a bottle of household 100% lye drain opener.
Is that the bottle that you found?
It is.
Is that the way you packaged it?
It is.
And is that the way you preserved it for evidence?
It is.
Does that fairly and accurately show the condition as it was when you collected it and also the night you saw it?
Yes, sir.
I move to admit People's Proposed Exhibit 9.
No objection.
So admitted.
Tell us what the bottle says in the front.
Okay, so the bottle says on the front, crystals of household, 100% lye drain opener. It says, gets the clog out.
All right, at the bottom there's a red label, is that right?
Correct.
What's on the red label?
From what I can read, it says danger, poison, something swallowed or inhaled, causes severe burns, and then the rest is kind of covered with the white powder.
Is there a picture on it?
There is.
What's the picture?
The picture shows a skull with crossbones.
Now, the bag is completely sealed, correct?
Correct.
Nothing can get out?
Correct.
Even so, Judge, I'm just going to show it to the jury versus let them handle it. Of course, if they want to look at it more closely, they can take it in the bag.
Thank you.
When you got there, was the bottle full, empty? How much was in it?
The bottle was fairly empty. There could have been a couple particles of the substance in the bottle.
And in fact, there's some here in the bag, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did you pick up any of the powder that was on the couch and put it in the bag?
I did not. The remaining powder fell out.
Okay. All right. Now, I want to take you back to when you first made the scene. You talked to the witnesses who were present, correct?
Correct.
Then you talked to medical staff.
Correct.
Now, did you talk to Konrad that night?
I talked to Konrad later in the night.
Okay. Did you talk to Megan that night?
Later in the night.
Do you know which one you talked to first?
I talked to Konrad first.
Okay. Where did you speak to Konrad?
I spoke to Konrad at Hurley Medical Center in Flint.
Okay. So this was after he had been transferred.
Correct.
Do you recall what time it was?
I'd say probably around 10 to 11 o'clock is when I got to Hurley Hospital to interview Konrad.
Okay. And when you got there, what was his condition?
His condition was stable. Obviously, he had a lot of pain, but the medical staff provided him adequate medication for that pain. So he was alert, he was conscious, he was able to speak with me coherently.
All right. Were there other people in the room when you were talking to him?
Hospital staff, nurses, I'm presuming doctors.
Okay. And did you record that interview?
I did.
Okay. Judge, I'm showing what is going to be marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 21. Trooper, I'm going to need you to come down and unlock it. Now, Trooper, we were just reviewing this. Is this the recording of you interviewing Konrad?
Correct.
And it's fair and accurate?
Correct.
Judge, I move to admit People's Proposed Exhibit 21.
I've seen it, no objection.
So admitted.
She wanted to go with Eric. Place. I couldn't get her in for whatever reason. So they were going to go to a hotel. Then she wanted her hair colored. She's got really dark hair. Might be black, like your mask. And it's really hard to color.
But you got a pacemaker, right?
No.
No?
No. Nothing.
Nothing
No
in your home?
medications, no.
Do you mind if we go in your house?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Door's open.
That's fine.
And, so I don't know. Yeah, last night, I noticed you threw a bunch of stuff at me, got mad.
What do you like stuff meaning?
There's she rearranged her bedroom, so there was a mattress on the wall. He went crazy on that stuff. I've asked her to take out the garbage several times, and that hasn't been working. But
Is this kind of? I'm trying to gauge this. Is this a normal behavior that she would throw stuff on you to burn you?
no, she usually it's an argument.
Okay.
I get mad at her, she gets mad at me. We badmouth each other. It's not normal, right? But this is you.
Okay.
This is very, very good. So, last night I had half a Smirnoff, put the bottle down, put the cork back
Fit
out.
the Smirnoff?
No, it was a little.
Oh, the airplane size?
No, the Smirnoff, what do you call it? Ice.
Oh, beer, like the beer thing.
Beer.
Yeah. Yeah, like the seltzer.
Seltzer, right?
Sure.
Lemonade. So I watched the movie, shut off my phone, call it a night. Pretty early. And this morning, I got up, finished my Smirnoff, watched the rest of the movie, went back to bed. And then, next I know, I got all kinds of people in the house with,
Were you sleeping when this happened, or were you
Yes.
unconscious?
No, sleeping. I wasn't unconscious. I didn't have anything to drink. I don't even have the Smirnoff, give me a break. I was thinking about getting her some breakfast and stuff, or making some, I was going to get her a breakfast, because I was got the 2 for $5 thing going. Teams. So I was going to do that. Are you done, or am I still with you? Okay. Okay.
I won't bother you that much. All I need, if you don't remember, you don't remember. All I just want to know if we could go into your house to investigate what happened.
Go ahead.
Okay.
The door is open, right, Austin? It's unlocked.
The door is open, yes. I have,
There's a bunch of cats in
Let
there.
me talk to him, and then we'll talk out there. We'll finish up.
All the cats can go out except for the little gray one.
Okay.
I mean, she's tiny.
Great.
That one, she's not old enough to go outside yet.
Okay.
Right? But
Do you mind if I see your hand? If you just want to flip it?
pull this cover off. I can't get it. The legs.
Carefully.
Show the legs.
Are you wrapped up in this?
Yeah, good. We're wrapped up in
I don't know if you're
cover.
wrapped in like a bungee or what. Do you see that good enough, or do you need a little more?
Okay.
It's like this on the other
Get
leg.
this side.
Yeah.
You get to it too.
Is he okay with looking at us like this? Okay.
You see it?
Yeah. All right. Do you have it on your back? You don't have to get up, but I'm just asking. Okay.
Turn it in.
Okay.
I don't know. I got it on my. You can see my shoulder if you wanted to flop it down.
It's okay.
Can I show him the pictures that I took?
Yes, you can.
Perfect. Okay, I will. I appreciate it. You get better, and I'll keep in contact with your family. Okay.
All right, Austin.
Yep. All right.
I don't know if they're going to
All right. We'll feel better. Okay.
except they're not going to be water.
Well.
Yeah, water cat.
Is it the end of your interview with him?
Correct.
And it was after that that you went to the house?
Correct.
Okay. And it was after that that you spoke to the defendant?
Correct.
Now, where was the defendant?
With the help of her mother, we were able to track her in Waterford at a hotel, Quality Inn and Suites, right off 59.
Okay. And did you make that location?
I did make that location.
Do you recall about what time you did that?
I'd have to say right around midnight, 11:30-ish.
Okay. And when you got there, you weren't working alone, right? You had other officers?
Correct, my two partners.
Okay. When you got there, what happened?
When we got there, we were able to We had a hunch that this group of kids in this vehicle maybe be, one of them maybe be Megan. So we approached that vehicle and I asked, "Is there a Megan here?" Which she stated yes.
Okay, and do you see that person in court today?
I do.
Can you please point and identify something she's wearing for us?
Correct. She's right over there on the right wearing a blue blouse.
And Judge, I'd like to have the record reflect that witness identified the defendant.
No objection.
So noted.
What was going on in the car when you got there?
It was dark, so I'm not sure what was going on in the car. I just saw maybe a group of 5 to 6 kids just in the vehicle. It's like a van-style vehicle.
Okay, now you asked if there was a Megan, and the defendant said yes?
Correct.
What did you do then?
I asked if I could speak with her.
Okay, what did she say?
She said, okay.
And so what happened?
So I brought her to the front of my patrol vehicle where there's a camera, and then I advised her she's not under arrest. I just wanted to speak with her and get her side of the story and see what happened tonight, or earlier in the night.
Okay. Did the camera record that interview?
It did.
Is that fair and accurate?
It is.
Okay, and you've seen it recently?
I have.
Judge, I move to admit People's Pro's Exhibit 19.
No objection.
So noted.
Thank you. Is this that video, sir?
Correct. It records at 30 seconds, just for your knowledge.
Yes, sir. I don't know what I asked. Oh, what's your name by chance?
Chloe.
Chloe what?
Howard?
Howard? Do you got any friends in here named Megan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's already there. You mind stepping out and talking to me for a minute? How are ya? You got any weapons on you?
No.
Okay, we're just gonna go talk in front of my car, okay? Okay. You know why we're here?
No.
You don't know?
My dad?
Yeah. So we're just making sure, making sure he's okay. We talked to right over in front of this car. He's actually at the hospital right now. So I don't know if you know that or not. So do you know why we're here?
I know that they told me that he has some kind of birth
Okay. So
I'm just going to stop this for a moment. Trooper, who's that in the center of the frame?
That'd be Megan Imirowicz.
Okay. That's this person here I'm indicating with my cursor?
Correct.
And who is this with my cursor?
That'd be myself.
And who's over here?
That'd be Trooper Corona.
And right here?
Trooper Baldwin.
Okay.
when was the last time you were at the house?
around 10. I left around 2:30 maybe.
Okay. Okay. And right now you're not in trouble. You're not under arrest. I'm just seeing what happened. Okay. So you got a couple stories from Austin, and a couple other people. So we're getting your story. Okay. So in greater detail, what happened today? So you left at 10 o'clock. We heard there was a little scuffle.
Okay, I left at 2:30, but I woke up at 10, and I realized that it was my hair appointment, and obviously my dad had to be the one to take me because I don't have my license. And I walked over to him, and I woke him up, but I could tell that he was a little drunk, so I was upset, obviously.
That's fine.
But he kept saying, like, I can't, I'm drunk, you take the car. And I'm like, I can't take it.
Right.
And he just keeps telling me that. I started yelling at him to cry because obviously that's like a hard thing, because
Absolutely.
he stopped drinking and it breaks my heart.
Absolutely, it's tough. I totally understand.
And I just kind of got mad, and all I threw at him was a bag of bread. And I know that didn't hurt him because it's a bag of bread. But I got upset. I went to go pack my stuff because Cody was coming to get me to bring me here.
Okay.
And then I went to the bank because I had to, his credit card wasn't working. And that's what we paid under. So I went to the bank and everything, and I asked my friend Kayla to go over to my house. And they said she could ask my dad for the number because I couldn't remember it. And that's when she told me, I don't think he's okay, something's wrong with him. And I was like,
I get where you're coming from. Is there anyone else in the house?
Just me and my dad. My brother comes back every other week.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna be honest with you. Your dad's in bad shape. So there's a lot of burning on your dad. Okay. Consistent with chemicals, right? You said you were fighting with your dad. That's fine. You know, I totally understand. If he's drinking, that's absolutely not how he should be running his household. Totally understand that. You know. But it's just not, I'm not understanding. Is this self-inflicted? Like, if you, I mean, put you in my shoes. You two are the only people in that house. And you leave at 2 o'clock and he's perfectly fine, right? And all of a sudden, he's,
I get that.
you know what I mean? So, how did he get these, you know?
I mean, we have stuff over there. We have cats that knock things over all the time. I get rid of them. I don't know. If I knew that there was chemicals over there, I would clean up. But I didn't know.
You remember me? Remember I talked to you in the right? Okay. So, yeah, I was there in the house, right? I understand the whole situation that got going on. Last time I tried to talk to you, we talked to you, barely even sit up, so I understand the anger and the upset and stuff you would have to do this stuff. Okay? Now, we went over to the house today. Okay? So, we were also told by some of your other friends that you told them that you took bread and other food products at him.
I never threw clean how they're cooking. Maybe it's like I threw like food. There's only ever food around there. I would never intentionally throw something dangerous out my closet.
Right. Why? So we found the cleaning product that was just like pulling all about. Now here's the thing. Here's what makes sense, right? You just throwing a piece of bread at him and all the things burned up. That doesn't make sense. What does make sense? You just grab the things like I'm upset. You're throwing it at him, and that's fine. And that's what happened. And that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. He's in the hospital, and we need to know what was thrown at him. Okay. So I'm not saying you intended to do anything intentional here. If you're upset, you're throwing things, you know, and you're upset because of the situation, and he's supposed to be there for you. I understand that, but we need you to be honest with us, okay? Seriously. Be honest with us.
It goes a long way.
Go a long way, so
It really does. If you're more honest.
remember what it was that you were throwing. Do you remember? Do you not remember? You don't remember? Okay, is it possible that you threw some other things aside from bread?
I mean, it could be possible. I don't know.
Okay. So there was this canister, stuff's all live. Okay. So it looks like it could have been thrown over his head and it landed all over. Okay. Is there any reason why your fingerprints would be on it?
I mean, I carry in the groceries. That's my job.
Okay.
So we all do. So
Do you remember throwing anything at him that caused like the white powder to like landmine?
Not intentional. We're not saying you intentionally tried to hurt. We're trying to figure out what she threw.
Just landed on him.
I don't think so. I mean, there was like liquids or there was
What kind of liquid? That's diesel liquid.
probably like water or something. Like I don't remember.
Like a water bottle or a cup of water.
It was in the bottle with bottle water.
Okay. And then that's still on it?
So this is where we're at, right? You said you threw bread. Only bread. Now you said you threw water. So this is going to be, okay, we do this every single day, all right? I don't want to see you get jammed up. If you tell us the truth, it will be better for you, okay? Rather than lying and then we're beating around the bush and then we're out here for hours on end when we can just figure out what's actually going on, okay? That's why we're here. We're just figuring out what's going on. So do you want to restart and tell us what happened? Okay, so what happened?
So I was throwing things. I was just grabbing anything that was on the floor. And then I just got like, I got tired of it. And I walked away.
Was he awake during this time?
It was on and off. He would fall asleep in place and then he'd wake up. It wasn't like he was fully awake. Obviously he was intoxicated, so
Yeah.
he was awake.
So he wasn't really talking or saying anything. You were just upset at him.
He would only say like, why can't you take the car? Why can't you take the car? That's all.
Is that before or after you told him something?
I
I said, he's in rough shape, okay? Was there any white substance that flew out of something when you threw something at him or anything? We're trying to help your dad out here.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
It's like on the couch. Did you see like where it went on his body? Okay, well let me start here before you say that. Was he wearing a shirt? Remember? Shirt or pants? No?
I know he wasn't wearing pants because he never was there.
Okay. So where on his body did you see that white stuff go?
It mostly went on the couch, a little like on his like lower legs, but he was mostly covered with a blanket.
With a blanket? Yeah. Okay. You know what that stuff was?
It looked like something from the tub or something. You know,
Okay.
not really color.
Now, do you ever use that stuff to clean yourself? So like
I think my
Drano,
dad does.
like lye.
Like when my it's for one of them. It's like my dad uses it sometimes to like the closet.
So you know that gets clogged up. Alright, so you know what that stuff does to someone's like skin? You don't know? What do you think? Feels good if you have that Drano type stuff on your skin?
Let me back up just a minute. When you threw it on him, was he just motionless sitting there?
Yeah.
He didn't try to wipe anything off, so it kind of just soaked into his skin, right? And then you took off. Is that the extent of kind of what happened? Okay. Why would you call? You called Kayla, the neighbor, right? To check on your dad.
Yeah.
Were you worried about his safety or?
Well, I needed his credit card pin, but I also wanted to know if he was okay. Like, I'm not gonna just, like, I know that I have to be the one that takes care of him when my brother's not there, so I'm gonna check in on him.
Is there any reason why he wouldn't be okay?
Okay. Were you concerned that there was white powder on him that maybe you would have ate through his skin?
I didn't know he would do that. I thought things like that just kind of sat there, nothing would happen.
All right. Is there anything else you want to tell us? Okay. You got any weapons on you right now?
I just have my room key, my phone.
Okay.
What's your, what did you do after that?
I left, and then I came here.
And then are these your friends that you're hanging out with? Your mom, right? So it was your birthday, what, 2 days ago now? Okay.
Was your, you said you had the dad's credit card,
Yeah.
and did he give that to you, borrow it to you?
He lets me borrow. He knew I had to borrow it today for driving home. So I don't use his credit card unless it's like I ask him and we put my own money on there so I can use his credit card.
Alright, now, I guess my question to you is, why did you tell us initially you only threw bread? What were you afraid of that was going to come out?
I don't want to get in trouble for something I would never purposely put my mouth in.
Did you think that what you did today might have hurt him when we came here? Is that why you weren't telling us everything that happened?
Well, I knew because obviously like my brother's yelling at me, like everyone's yelling at me because they think I'm this horrible person and like I didn't actually do that. And I just don't want to get in trouble for something I never had to do. I didn't think it would hurt me.
Okay, so you're in my shoes, right? How old are you? You just turned 18. If you were to throw, and be the honest, give me the honest truth, if you were to throw Drano, household acidic cleaners on someone's body, what would you think that would do? I mean, we're both smart individuals. It's fine.
I didn't think like a powder alone would do that.
Well, you said you threw water too, right?
You see how the water and the Drano
Okay. So, at this point, I'm going to have you turn around. You are under arrest, okay? All right, so turn around, place your hands behind your back, okay? We'll try not to make it a big scene. Go like this with your hands, okay? And I'll explain to you what's going on, all right? I'm not saying you're a bad person, but you got anything on you other than what you said? Okay.
I don't have my shoes.
That's fine, we'll grab them.
Okay.
If you're, hey,
They're in my room.
listen to me, okay? If you're cool with us, we're gonna be cool with you. We're doing our job, okay?
We'll let you call your mom.
Yeah, we'll let you call your mom. We'll grab your shoes, all your belongings. We'll take off, okay? As far as like your bracelets and stuff.
Yeah, have a key.
It's in my pocket.
Okay, let me just double lock these so they don't tighten up on you, okay? Are these okay for right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright. So for right,
And Judge, I'm stopping the video at 15 minutes and 30 seconds for the record.
Thank you.
Trooper, what was your sense from that conversation?
Well, my sense from that conversation was there's only two individuals in the house. There's Megan, there's Konrad, right? Konrad has, superficial burns, quite extensive burns on his body. There's only two people in the house. I was trying to figure out, was this self-inflicted or, was this deliberate by, the defendant? Stuff along those lines. Just trying to gauge the situation, interviewing all parties, part of my due diligence as a police officer.
Okay. I want to ask another question. One of your comrade troopers mentioned something to her about fingerprints coming off the bottle. When you were trained as a police officer, were you told what fingerprints are?
I was.
And do you know how they obtain them?
I do.
How do they obtain them?
So there's different types of ways to obtain a fingerprint. So for example, this bottle, it's a white bottle. Usually we use black powder, and then you kind of sprinkle the black powder on the bottle lightly. It'd be hard in this sense just because there's so much chemicals on there. But anyways, you'd sprinkle that light powder, apply an adhesive tape, and then lift the fingerprint off, and that's how you kind of preserve a fingerprint.
Now, did you try and do that in this case?
I did not.
Why not?
Because she said she brought the groceries in. I mean, in our opinions as, on that scene, troopers on that day, we figured it wasn't necessary at that time.
So when she said she brought the groceries in, her fingerprints could have been on the bottle for a completely other reason.
Yeah, it could have been on anything.
All right. It might not be indicative of guilt or innocence at all.
Correct.
All right. And also there was chemicals on it, you said.
Correct.
Okay. I don't have anything else, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Mull.
Thank you, Your Honor. So you arrived at Hurley Hospital, correct? Was it
Later in the night, correct.
Later in the night. Had you been to Genesis Hospital first?
Yes.
You didn't talk to Mr. Imirowicz at Genesis Hospital, did you?
No. At the time, no.
So what time did you get to Hurley Hospital?
Like I said, probably around 11:30 to 12 o'clock in that general time frame.
11:30, 12 o'clock at night, correct?
Correct.
All right. So you went to Hurley Hospital, 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. And then you had the interview with Mr. Imirowicz.
Correct.
And we saw that on the tape. You also talked to Julie Konrad, correct?
Earlier in the night at Ascension Genesis, correct.
At Genesis you talked to her. All right. Did she give you the location of Megan?
She did.
Did she give it to you then or later on?
If I recall correctly, I believe I didn't ask at that time just because we needed to go talk to Konrad, go to the house. So I think I was in communications with her via text message, and I'm pretty sure that's how we obtained the accurate location when we went to go try to interview her.
And that's in text message with Julie Konrad, correct?
Either text message or phone call, I don't recall.
All right, but that's who you talked to, right?
Correct.
Okay. So you left there, you got there 11:30, 12 o'clock. This is at night, right? Yeah, answer yes or no.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
No problem. You then went to the house?
If I recall correctly, could I look at my report?
You can look at your report.
Okay. Okay.
So after you left Hurley, you went to the house?
After I left Hurley, I went to the Quality Inn to interview.
Okay.
I apologize.
About what time did you leave the Quality Inn? Or leave to go to the Quality Inn?
Around that time frame. I wasn't at the hospital that long, so maybe 10, 15 minutes later.
So you said you got to the hospital at 11:30, 12 o'clock.
Right.
All right. So you left the hospital 12:15?
If I got there at 11:30, probably left around 11:45. If I got there around midnight, probably 12:15.
All right, so it was late. You Mr. Imirowicz, Konrad never said his daughter threw anything at him, correct?
In the interview with Konrad, he states something was thrown at him. He didn't give specifics.
All right. And he said it was the night before, correct?
I don't recall if it was the night before on that video specifically or the day of, because he said a couple contradicting events.
You were given information with regard to his alcohol level, correct?
I was.
And based on what the report says, you had it about a .3?
Yep, the nurse, when we got in there, said he was at about a point 0.3.
Okay. And that's a significant amount of alcohol.
I'd say so.
He indicated to you he had, if I remember correctly, he woke up in the morning, finished watching his movie, and finished the half bottle of Smirnoff Ice.
What he described as the seltzer beer bottle, Smirnoff Ice.
Is it possible for him to get a .3 if he had just that amount of alcohol
No.
in the morning?
No, sir.
He had to have had a significant amount of alcohol, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, just for information, when you pull somebody over, and I assume you do road patrol as well,
I do.
all right, there's a level where if someone blows above that level, you take him to the hospital, correct?
In some instances, yes.
Usually what level is that to take him to the hospital?
It's very dependent, circumstantial. Some people are functioning alcoholics that would exhibit maybe a 0.25 or a 0.3, but they seem coherent. They seem, coherent enough to, do sobrieties and, go to jail and stuff like that. It's all situational based. There's not a protocol for Michigan State Police, no.
All right. If he was a .3 at, what was it, 9 o'clock when he got to Hurley, do you know what he'd have been at 4 o'clock when the ambulance showed up?
Judge, I'm going to object. That would call for speculation as to the individual rate of a person metabolizing alcohol.
Response.
If he knows, Your Honor, first of all, I will rephrase.
Thank you.
Have you been trained in alcohol enough to know what the blood alcohol level would be several hours before?
Yes, sir.
You have.
Yes, sir.
All right. So if he blew a .3 at 9 o'clock at night, do you know what he would have blown at 4 o'clock in the afternoon?
Again, he could have been coming down, as far as blood alcohol coming down or coming up. There'd be no way to tell as when he started drinking and if he's either going up as far as intox, wise, or going down. So unfortunately, you wouldn't know.
All right. It would be substantially higher than a .3, though, correct?
If he was going up, yeah.
He indicated he had half of a Smirnoff Ice in the morning after he woke up and he watched TV, and then he went to bed, correct?
Correct.
And again, that's not possible. He had to have more alcohol than that, correct?
In my professional opinion, yes.
Now, you went then, after you interviewed him, you indicated you went to the Quality Inn, right?
Yes, sir.
You went to the Quality Inn, you were looking for some individuals.
Correct.
Had you been told what those individuals were there for?
Briefly, I might have been told briefly about a birthday party of some sort.
Okay. You pulled in and you saw this group of individuals in the car,
I did.
and you thought this was possibly them.
I did.
How long, any idea what time of night it was?
Again, it was later in the night. It was dark out. I'd say around midnight.
Well, if you got to the hospital at 11:30 and left at 11:45, how long a drive is it from Flint to Waterford?
From Flint to Waterford, I'd say about 20 minutes.
Okay. If you left at 12:15 and you'd gotten to the hospital then, this would be 12:30, quarter to 1.
Sure.
You don't remember what time specifically?
I don't have it time stamped on my report. No, I don't.
All right. Now, You knew that this individual may have been partying. This was a party, correct?
Correct. Birthday party for an 18-year-old.
For an 18-year-old. Did you question her with regard to if she'd been drinking anything?
No, sir.
Did you observe her eyes to see if she'd been smoking anything?
Like I said, it was dark out, but I didn't observe any notable clues, whether she was intox or any other recreational drugs or drugs.
Did you look?
I was looking at her eyes, yes, while I was speaking with her.
That the lights were down at her legs, correct? Or at her lower waist, the car lights, correct?
Correct. There was still ambient light, though, that I could see the person's face. Megan's face.
You questioned her for quite a while, correct?
We did.
The moment she said she threw white powder on him, was she free to leave?
She was free at any time in that interview until she was arrested.
After you left her, you went to the house at some point?
Yes, sir.
When was that?
Again, I don't have the time-stamped information, and since it was 2 years ago, it's hard to recall the exact time and events that...
You went that night, morning, right away?
Correct.
And you were still on your shift?
Correct. During my shift.
What observations did you make of the house?
At the house, I observed it was quite messy. There was a lot of bugs on the ceiling. I'm not sure what they were, but it was just a messy house in general.
Did you? What was there? An odor?
It smelled quite bad. Yeah,
What kind of odor?
I don't recall. It just wasn't a pleasant odor.
Throughout the whole house?
Yes, sir.
You said there was liquid on the couch.
The couch was dampened, so there had to have been liquid at some point or another, but there wasn't standing or stationary liquid that was sitting on the couch pooled. It was soaked in.
Was there something soaked in on the floor by it? Do you remember?
I believe so. I don't recall 100%.
Okay. And where was the bottle? The white bottle when you got there?
On relation to the couch?
Whereabouts on the couch in the house was that white bottle?
Correct. So once you go up the right side of the stairs, you get on the top level. If you hang a left, that's the living room. The couch is facing what would be the south wall, right under a window. The bottle of lye was on the left-hand side of the couch if you're looking south in the household towards the couch and the window.
So it was on the couch?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know if anyone had been to that house before you? After this incident and before you?
Well, sure. The EMS was in there when they loaded Konrad up. I was told that there was other individuals that went in the house to check out the scene.
Were you aware that Julie Konrad was sent back to the house by Austin Imirowicz?
I was not.
Were you aware that they were in the house?
I was not.
Okay. Do you know if anyone else was in the house?
Unfortunately, no.
All right. If I could have just a second. Thank you.
Mr. Stanis?
Yes, Judge. Give me just a moment, please. Now, Trooper, you said you got Megan's location from Julie Konrad?
Correct.
Okay. You don't recall exactly when that was or the method?
I don't, unfortunately.
Now, when you were interviewing Megan, you were observing her, correct? You were talking to her?
Correct.
So you were looking at her pretty much the entire time, which was about 15 minutes according to the interview?
Correct.
Okay. You're a Michigan State Police Trooper. Is that right?
I am.
How many drunk driving investigations have you done?
Probably 150, maybe 200.
Okay. What kind of training, or what are you told to look for or trained to look for when you're conducting a drunk driving investigation to see if someone's intoxicated?
So you look for multiple clues of intoxication, whether it's watery eyes, bloodshot eyes. It's called nystagmus in the eyes, when the eyes kind of bounce when you do tests with the eyes. You observe, odor of intoxicants, how the individual presents himself. Can they walk properly? Can they answer your questions? In a manner that a sober person would, if you will. Stuff along those lines.
Did you observe any of those indicators when you were talking to Megan?
I did not.
Okay, so was there anything to your knowledge that suggested that she might have been intoxicated?
No, sir.
Okay. When you approached the vehicle she was in, did you see anything that would suggest that there was intoxicants going on?
Unfortunately, it was dark.
Okay.
So, we had our flashlight, but I didn't want to blind everyone else in there. So we had enough lights where we could see the individuals in their hands, but we didn't see any, either alcohol or drugs, narcotics around or anything like that.
Have you been trained in the odor of marijuana?
I have.
Okay. Have you smelled marijuana?
I have smelled marijuana.
Did you smell any marijuana in the car?
I did not.
Okay. So, do you have any reason to believe that Megan might have been intoxicated when she was talking to you?
Absolutely not.
Now, when you were talking to Konrad at the hospital, right, he was there. Was he hooked up to an IV already?
I believe he was.
Okay. Do you know if he had been administered any medication?
I'm assuming.
Okay.
But
you don't know for sure?
Yeah.
Okay. In the course of your career, you've interviewed, I assume, many, many people.
Correct.
Okay. Have you ever had someone lie to you?
Daily.
Okay. Have you ever had someone lie to you to protect somebody else?
All the time.
Okay. Now, when you were talking to Konrad, you, of course, identified yourself as a police officer, right?
Correct.
And you were in full uniform.
I was.
And you were investigating a crime scene.
I was.
And, in fact, you were investigating his daughter.
Yes, sir.
And so he told you that she threw stuff at him.
That's what he stated. Correct.
Okay. But he didn't specify exactly what.
Correct.
And he also told you that he had drank just a little bit of Smirnoff.
Correct.
Smirnoff Ice, actually.
Correct.
And we know that's not true, right? His blood alcohol level, that's not possible.
Correct.
All right. Now I want to talk about the house. When you got back to the house, it was unlocked, correct?
It was, yes.
Okay. Was there any indication that anything had been rifled through? I mean, it was a messy house, but...
Unfortunately, it would be hard to tell just because it was so messy.
Okay. I don't have anything else, Judge.
Just briefly, you've been trained to detect marijuana nowadays, I assume.
I have.
What do you do to detect marijuana?
Just the odor of marijuana. If you are investigating a OWI scene on the road, you do a lack of convergence test, just to test their eyes and test their balance and stuff along those lines.
Did you do that in this case?
I did not.
And Mr. Imirowicz didn't need any tests. You knew he was a .3, correct?
Well, he was. Yeah, correct.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Ladies and gentlemen, the jury, do you have any questions? Okay, sir, can you write down, please? Yes, please. Application of the bottle cap.
I do not.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, any other questions?
Actually, Judge, can I ask one follow-up with that?
Yeah, let me get to you. And ladies and gentlemen, any other questions?
I don't have the same question.
Go ahead, Mr. Sanis.
Just to be clear, there was a couple bottles there, so let's break them down. Do you know the location of the bottle cap for the lye bottle?
I do not.
Okay. There were other bottles present, correct?
There was lots of bottles present.
Okay. Presumably you saw some bottle tops, but you did not know where the bottle of lye top was.
Correct. It was too messy for me to rifle around everything.
Thank you.
That covered my questions.
Any other questions? Okay, sir, you may step down. You may excuse yourself.
Thank you. Judge, the people have no other witnesses.
People rest?
Yes.
Okay, people rest. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 11:51. The people have rested. The defense will have an opportunity to call witnesses if they would like. Is this a good time for you to take your lunch? Would you like to take your lunch now? Okay. Do you have witnesses?
They're supposed to meet me in like 7 or 8 minutes in the cafeteria, so I should have witnesses.
Okay. Would you want 1 o'clock?
How about 1:15?
1:15. Okay, we'll come back at 1:15. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, the jury.